Hi, my name is Matthew Thomas, and I'm going to sit here and try to talk to you guys about sour beers. A lot of people don't know what sour beers are. Sour beers are beers that have been purposely spoiled. Um, in this case, I've got 4 of them here in front of you, and we're going to go through these, and I'm going to talk to you about them and their different characteristics and what makes them taste that specific way. Let's talk a little bit about how they get that or how they make a sour beer. What they will do traditionally in the past, monks would ferment their beer, or ferment their alcohol outside in open containers. That way, the bacteria and the wild yeast that are just around in the air will float into your vats. And for some reason, they thought that was a desirable flavor because of the strangeness of it, the unique characteristics of it being pungent and sour. Today it's a little bit more controlled. Today they use giant casks, and the oak casks have microorganisms within the wood. So that oak, depending on where they got that oak, most often it's either American or French oak. In Belgium, they would obviously use more French oak just because of proximity. Um, the oak has microorganisms in it, and those slowly over time will be drawn out by the sweet wort um, and converted into a more sour tasting beer. So they'll fill their casks with a beer that's already had yeast in it. So it's starting to develop and become beer. At the same time, the microorganisms are going to be coming out of the wood, and they will contribute off flavors at first. So the beers don't just sit in there like a normal beer will sit in a container or fermenter for about a month or so, and then it's ready to be drank. That's not the case with sours. Oftentimes, sours are multiple years old. The oldest one that I know of is probably about 10 years old. So what they will do is they will make these beers at different points in time, and they'll age them in these casks because the more you age it, just like with whiskey or anything like that, you're going to pull more flavors out, and you're going to get those different flavors that you're desiring. Um, let's go through, and we're going to taste these different beers, and I'm going to kind of talk to you about them as we're doing it. So first we're going to start with our Grand Cru, and this is a product of Belgium. This is Edegram's Grand Cru, and we're going to try these. Go ahead and try them. And some of the flavors you're going to be getting off of this, a lot of sour, kind of caramel, toffee notes off of it. A good way to taste your beer, and in the future, if you ever want to taste anything in particular, what you do is you take a drink, take another drink, open your mouth, breathe in a little bit. That way you're cleansing your palate. And on the third drink, you're getting the actual taste of the beer. As we go through these, feel free to take a drink of water and cleanse your palate once again, and we'll go through, and that way we'll have a more unique taste, and we're not going to get any different flavors or mixing our beers. Next, we're going to talk about the Petrus. The Petrus is an aged pale that comes also from Belgium. It is a very unique style. It's blonde in color, and the last beer that we had was very red in color. This is also going to come off as just a straight sour. It's going to have a little bit of head on it, not quite as much as the other one. It's a little lightly carved. It's got a more fruity, spicy, maybe pear-like taste to it. This beer is very unique. There's no other beer that falls into this particular style. This has been aged for at least 3 years, and it doesn't fall into any other category of beer. Traditionally, sours are made with wheat malt. This beer doesn't use any wheat, so it's kind of outsider beer, which gives it a little bit different appeal to it. It's an older brewery, so it's got a lot more history about it. Next, we're going to try our Bacchus. And this is another beer from Belgium. It's made by the Castle Brewery, which is about 500 years old. They've been brewing sours and different beers this entire time. Some of the flavors you're going to get off of this is it's going to be a little bit sweeter than the rest. And usually with their sour beers, you're either going to get a sour, sweet sour, or very sweet, mildly sour beer. It's a lot sweeter. It's got a very cherry-like, maybe a little bit oaky. It's got a little bit of a vinegar spice to it. Vigorously bubbly. It's very smooth, easy drinking. This would go great in the summertime when you're on a hot day. It's like a porch beer. That's what we would call it, a porch beer. That way you'd have it in the summertime and kind of go down easy. It's not too heavy, easy drinking. Next, we're going to talk about our farm. This is going to be the sweetest of them all. It's going to be drastically different than the rest. Faros, there aren't many Faros. It is a style. It's actually a recognized style of beer. And it's going to have a very less sour, more sweet taste to it. Kind of spicy. It's got candy-like quality to it. What they do to get that particular flavor out of the beer is as they're fermenting it, they will add candied sugar, which is kind of like rock candy that they caramelize a little bit to give it a little darker, kind of burnt taste to it. This is definitely the beginner's beer to sour. It's like an entry-level sour beer. People are going to be a lot happier trying something like this versus going straight into a very sour beer. Some of the other things about sours is that they're becoming a lot more popular. Like in America, Americans are trying to take traditionally brewed Belgian beers like these and kind of contribute their own flavors. These beers don't have any hop characteristic to them. A lot of American styles have that hop characteristic to it just so that they can kind of have their own uniqueness about them. And a lot of sour beers that were brewed in the past aren't brewed anymore because of limitations on expenses. It's very difficult to make a sour beer and make it come out in the way that you want it to because there's so many things that can go wrong because you're using more than one type of microorganism. You're not just using one type of yeast. You're using bacterias and wild yeast that you have no control over. So a lot of the time, you would spend a lot of money to brew a batch of beer, and at the end of the product would be undrinkable, or wouldn't be exactly what you wanted it to be, and you would lose all that money because you would have to pour it down the drain. Another little thing is you could find a lot of different styles of sour beers are often paired with fruits. So what they'll do is they'll infuse it with raspberries to make a framboise or cherries to make a crick beer. And that gives it a little more sour but a lot sweeter, less pungent taste to it. And I hope you guys enjoyed these beers, and I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation. I'm Matt Thomas, and thank you very much.
We'll get that well over 10 minutes.
No.